Equatorial Guinea, and now give the floor to the distinguished representative of the Russian Federation.
Madam Chair, next year the international community will mark a number of important anniversaries in improving the status of women. There will be the 25th anniversary since the 4th Global Conference on the Status of Women, 20 years since the adoption of Security Council Resolution 1325 on women, peace and security, and 10 years since the foundation of the UN entity on gender equality and improving women's empowerment, UN Women. We therefore expect that we'll see the first stock-taking of its activities over that period. One of the most important events during this 74th session of the UN General Assembly will certainly be the 25th anniversary of the adoption of the Beijing Declaration and Platform of Action. Therefore, the Russian Federation attaches great importance to next year's 64th session of the UN Assembly on the Commission on the Status of Women, CSW, which is an important forum for constructive dialogue on a whole range of issues that affect the status of women. A number of important initiatives are also planned for 2020 on gender issues. These are also mentioned in the UN General Assembly and the UN Secretary General's report, such as the Forum on Equality between generations, and we think they'll be important for the CSW's work. With regard to UN Women's work over the last year, we think it's been satisfactory. In particular, we support the close cooperation of the UN Women with different bodies and structures within the UN system when this is carried out as an auxiliary support to decisions taken by intergovernmental mechanisms on women's issues. We think it is also useful when UN Women provides help on the ground, when there is a request and permission for this from interested states. Nonetheless, we must once again accent attention on the shortcomings in the coordination between UN Women's operational activities and the policy leadership provided by the CSW. There are questions around the effectiveness of the assistance provided by UN Women in carrying out the Sustainable Development Goal number 5. We're also concerned by the lack of progress in resolving the gender imbalance within the staff of UN Women. We call on its management to more actively implement in practice their own recommendations on drawing in men to dealing with objectives in improving the rights and opportunities for women. We hope that UN Women will make efforts to overcome these shortcomings. We think that effective work to promote gender equality is possible only when issues in this area are going to be included with the other corresponding bodies of the UN in those areas where it is appropriate and logical to do so. We must avoid any overlap in work and any arbitrary assignment to different entities of functions that are not proper to them. With regard to achieving gender equality between men and women within the UN system, we think that when candidates are selected, what should be decisive is not their gender, but rather what is established in Article 101 of the UN Charter, the basic criteria, including their ability to work, their competence, and their conscientiousness. We also shouldn't forget about equitable geographic representation. Madam Chair, the Russian Federation is unswervingly committed to implementing its international commitments on improving the status of women. In April this year, as part of the Beijing +25 process, we sent to the UN Secretariat our latest report on successes and issues in implementing the Beijing Declaration and Platform of Action, and also the outcome documents of the 23rd special session of the UN General Assembly. And in September, we also sent the 9th periodic report from the Russian Federation on the implementation of provisions of the Convention on Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. We're open to constructive exchange of views and best practice on gender issues with all parties who are genuinely interested in improving the status of women. The key to success is complying with the principles of mutual respect, considering national particularities and also the traditions of different states. Thank you.
I thank the distinguished representative of the Russian Federation.